The prison in the sky, the station floated quietly above a forgotten moon, far away from the bright lights of Earth or any busy colony. It was called Outpost Delta 7, but most people just called it the Dead Wing. No one wanted to be posted there. It was cold, dark, and filled with stories that made new workers nervous. Jack, a human repair technician, had been sent there on a 6-month rotation. He didn't complain he liked silence. He liked machines more than people. He worked alone, checking systems, replacing damaged wires, and ignoring the others who avoided eye contact in the narrow gray halls. But after a week, Jack noticed something strange. Every time he passed the sealed door of Sector 9, he heard a whisper, a quiet sound. Sometimes it was like crying, sometimes just breathing, but the area was marked as restricted, no entry without command code. No one ever talked about it. One day, Jack finally asked a guard named Milo, "What's in there?" Milo stared at him, his face pale. "Don't go near it. Just do your job and stay clear." That only made Jack more curious. He started watching the hallway through a disconnected security panel. He rewired it to access older footage. Most days it showed nothing, just an empty hallway. But one night, he saw something that made his heart stop. A figure thin, almost glowing in the dim light. Sitting alone, chained to the wall. Arms wrapped around herself like she was freezing. Long white hair covered part of her face. She didn't move much, but Jack saw her look directly into the camera. Not like a beast, not like a monster, not like someone begging for help. The next day, Jack couldn't focus. He dropped tools, missed reports. The image of her haunted him. Why was she locked away? Was she dangerous? He had seen dangerous creatures before. Pirates, bio-experiments, criminals. But this girl didn't look dangerous. She looked broken. That night, Jack took a risk. He waited until the guards were off duty and used a small maintenance tunnel that ran close to Sector 9. He had found its location by reading old blueprints. It was tight, full of dust, and half collapsed, but he crawled through, dragging a flashlight between his teeth. The tunnel ended behind a panel. He pushed gently, and it opened into a dark, cold room. And there she was, sitting against the wall. She didn't scream, didn't move. She just looked up at him. Her skin was a soft silver blue. Her arms were thin and bruised. Metal cuffs wrapped around her wrists, glowing red with locking tech. Her eyes were the saddest thing Jack had ever seen. "Don't be afraid," he whispered, raising both hands. She didn't reply. Just stared. Jack slowly reached into his pocket and took out a protein bar. He opened the wrapper and placed it on the floor in front of her. Still no movement. He sat down across from her, back against the opposite wall. Minutes passed in silence. Then, finally, she moved. She picked up the bar, sniffed it, and took a small bite. Jack exhaled in relief. "You're hungry," he said softly. "I knew it," he returned the next night. And the next, each time, he brought something small: water, a blanket, a light. He never asked questions. He just sat, letting her know he wasn't there to hurt her. She started trusting him, little by little. One night, she spoke. Her voice was quiet. "Why are you helping me?" Jack's heart skipped a beat. "Because you don't belong here." She looked down at her hands, her cuffs still glowing. "They said I was a threat," she whispered. Jack shook his head. "I've seen threats. You're not one of them." But outside that dark room, danger was building. The station's AI had flagged strange access to restricted blueprints. Security patrols were increasing near Sector 9. And someone had noticed that Jack wasn't in his quarters during night cycles. Still, Jack couldn't stop, because in his heart, He knew something was wrong. Someone had locked up an innocent girl, and the only thing more dangerous than a lie was the truth hidden beneath it. Asterisk eyes that spoke fear. The next night, Jack returned with a small med kit. The alien girl Lyra sat in the same place, chained and quiet. But something had changed. Her eyes weren't as afraid as before. They held a question now, not just fear. He knelt beside her and held out a small antiseptic pad. Her wrists were bruised badly from the cuffs. The red locking lights burned her skin every time she moved. Jack pointed at her wounds. "Can I help?" Lyra hesitated, then nodded once, just a small movement, but enough. Jack gently cleaned her cuts. He worked slowly, careful not to hurt her more. She winced once, but didn't pull away. "Who did this to you?" Jack asked. Lyra looked at the floor. "Everyone." That single word chilled Jack more than any scream could. He stayed silent, not pushing. He knew too well what fear looked like when it lived in someone's bones. After a while, Lyra spoke again. "They said my kind is cursed, dangerous. I don't remember what I did. I only remember fire, and screaming, and being taken." Her voice cracked. Jack offered her water. She sipped slowly. He had never heard of her species. Not in any logs. Not in the files he had access to. But someone had put her here. Someone powerful enough to erase records, and cruel enough to keep her caged like an animal. The next morning, Jack checked the station database under maintenance cover. He dug deeper this time, bypassing locked directories. His hands shook as he typed. If anyone saw what he was doing, he could be marked as a traitor. Finally, he found something. A report. Subject hashtag a 117. Unknown female, non-compliant. Species origin, unverified. Captured during Sector Purge Alpha. Orders. Detain indefinitely for evaluation. There were no medical notes, no diplomatic discussions. Just cold commands. Another file mentioned Operation Silence, a classified strike mission on a peaceful planet believed to be gathering pre-war. Tech. But Jack read the logs twice. There was no tech found. Just burning forests. And silence. A mistake. Earth had attacked the wrong world. And the only survivor was now locked in a metal room with glowing red cuffs. That night, Jack returned to Lyra, his thoughts spinning. "I found your report," he said. Lyra didn't react. "They lied," Jack continued. "You weren't a threat. They destroyed your world. And they locked you up to keep it quiet." Lyra looked up at him slowly. Her eyes weren't afraid this time. They were angry. "Then why are you helping me?" She whispered. Jack paused. He didn't know the full answer yet. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was because he saw a bit of himself in her. Alone. Forgotten. Misunderstood. "Because someone has to," he finally said. "And because I see you." Her eyes softened. "No one's ever said that before." Suddenly, the walls buzzed. A voice echoed through the hallway. "Unauthorized presence detected in Sector 9. Security en route." Jack jumped. No. Not now," he whispered. He looked around, quickly closing the tunnel panel behind him. "Lyra," he said, heart pounding. "Someone knows I've been coming here." She stood slowly. Her legs were weak, trembling. "You have to go," she said. "They'll kill you." Jack shook his head. "I'm not leaving you behind." Heavy boots echoed outside the wall. Jack's hand hovered over the hidden tunnel latch. He turned to her, voice low and urgent. "Tomorrow night. Be ready. I'm coming back, and next time we're getting out." Lyra stepped closer. For the first time, she touched his arm. "Don't die, Jack." He smiled, even through the fear. "I won't. Not until you're free." As he crawled back into the tunnel, the red lights of the station flashed. And behind that locked door, the girl who had once been feared. stood a little taller, because now she had hope. Asterisk. What they don't want you to know. Jack couldn't sleep. The words from the classified report kept echoing in his mind. Operation Silence, non-compliant, detained indefinitely. It wasn't a war. It was a mistake. A silent massacre. And Earth had buried it like it never happened. He sat at the edge of his small bed, staring at the screen in front of him. Lyra's face wouldn't leave his thoughts, her bruised wrists, her soft voice, the way her eyes had changed the moment she realized someone cared. And now, someone knew he had been visiting her. He had to move fast. Jack spent the day pretending. Everything was normal. He did system checks, made small talk, even joked with Milo, the guard. But inside, his mind was racing. By late evening, he returned to the hidden maintenance tunnel. This time, he brought more. A small energy blade, a personal shield patch, and a stolen guard pass. When he entered the chamber, Lyra was already standing. She looked stronger. Her body still weak, but her spirit no longer broken. I knew you'd come, she whispered. Jack gave her water and handed over the shield patch. This will protect you. Just once. When the alarms go off, Lyra nodded. Her fingers trembled as she held it. Then Jack did something bold. He placed a small device on the wall. A signal booster. I'm sending a message, he said. To the outer relay station. I've attached part of your story, and this. He held up a data crystal. Lyra's memories. The tiny gem glowed faintly in his hand. You said it holds. Everything? He asked. She nodded. My people's last memories. Our home, our voices, our end. Jack inserted it into the transmitter. If anything happens to us, he said, this will go out across the system. The truth won't stay buried anymore. Lyra stepped back, surprised. You're risking everything for me. Jack looked at her calm, certain. No, I'm risking everything for what's right. But something he didn't expect happened. Next, Lyra sat down and closed her eyes. A soft hum filled the air, low and strange. The metal around her cuffs began to tremble. Jack stepped back in shock. What are you doing? She opened her eyes, slowly glowing now with quiet fire. I've been holding back my gift, she said. If I had used it before, they would have had a reason to fear me. Her cuffs cracked metal, splitting like glass under pressure. But now, she said softly, I have a reason to fight. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared through the station. Breach in Sector 9. Intruder alert. Lockdown in progress. Jack turned sharply. They're coming. Lyra stood tall, now still weak, but no longer broken. Her eyes met his. Then we fight together. Outside, security teams stormed toward the lower levels. Lights flickered. Turrets spun into motion. But Jack knew the station inside out. He'd mapped every hallway, every vent, every security blind spot. He took Lyra's hand and led her through a narrow shaft behind the chamber, one only he knew about. We'll reach the escape pods in Bay 4, he said. But we'll need time. Lyra closed her eyes again, whispering something in her native tongue. The hallway lights dimmed. A strange pulse flowed through the air. What was that? Jack asked. A gift, she said, for slowing them down. In the control room, officers stared in confusion as cameras glitched. Systems flickered. Door locks refused commands. Something's wrong with the AI, one muttered. It's not the AI, the commander growled. It's her. Back in the tunnels, Jack and Lyra pushed forward, hearts pounding. Behind them, footsteps echoed. Voices barked orders. Flashlights swept the dark. But something inside, Jack had changed. This wasn't just about saving Lyra anymore. This was about revealing what the galaxy had tried to forget. The truth was in her eyes, and it would no longer be hidden. Asterisk the choice. The sound of boots echoed through the tunnels. Jack held Lyra's hand tightly as they ran. The stolen pass opened maintenance doors and back corridors. But it wouldn't work forever. The station was now in full lockdown. Almost there, Jack said, breathless. Bay 4 is just past the coolant shafts. Behind them, voices shouted. A warning shot rang out. The guards were closing in. Jack knew this part of the station was rarely used. He had rerouted the cameras last night. They had a little time, but not much. They stopped to catch their breath. Lyra leaned against the wall, her face pale. The cuffs were still attached, but cracked. Small sparks flickered where the lock had. Failed. Are you okay? Jack asked. She nodded slowly. I've never run this far since I was taken. But I'm not stopping. Jack smiled, even though fear sat heavy in his chest. Then his gun crackled. Technician Jack Mercer. This is command. You are now classified as hostile. Stand down. You are helping a dangerous life form. Turn yourself in. He shut the comm. Off. Lyra looked at him. They'll hunt you. Jack didn't answer at first. Then he said, let them try. Minutes later, they reached a side room beside Bay 4. Jack sealed the door with a metal rod. Inside was quiet, filled with old crates, tools, and an emergency pod. This is it, Jack said. One pod. It can reach the asteroid belt. If we can get past the patrols, we can call for help. Lyra sat on the crate, eyes full of worry. You can still leave, she said softly. Tell them I forced you. Say you were scared. Jack raised an eyebrow. Really? That's your plan? She looked away. I don't want you to suffer because of me. Jack walked over, kneeling in front of her. They killed your people, he said. Locked you up like a weapon. And now they want to erase the last witness. He placed a hand on her shoulder. But I've seen who you are. You're not a monster. You're not a weapon. You're the truth they want to bury. Suddenly the door shook. The guards had found them. Jack turned to the escape pod and powered it on. Lights blinked. You go, he said. I'll hold them off. Lyra stood up fast. No, you'll die. I have no weapon, Jack said, but I have a voice. I'll distract them, buy you time. When they find me, the signal will already be out. The data crystal's upload is nearly finished. She looked at him, eyes wide, filled with tears. No one has ever chosen me before, she whispered. Jack smiled faintly. Then let this be the first time. But just before he opened the door, something happened. Lyra stepped forward and raised her glowing hands. The cuffs finally broke off, falling to the floor in 2 pieces. A quiet hum filled the room. Then the walls shimmered briefly like light bending. What did you do? Jack asked. I've hidden us, she said. For a few minutes. Long. Enough to finish the upload. He stared at her, amazed. You've had this power the whole time? She nodded. I was afraid to use it. Afraid they'd hurt me more. Afraid I'd become what they said I was. But now, she said quietly, I choose to protect. The signal light turned green. Upload complete. The truth had been sent across secure channels, across hidden frequencies. To colonies, to archives, to places that still cared. The world would know what had been done. The shimmer faded. The door burst open. Guards stormed in, guns raised. Jack stood in front of Lyra. But before they could fire, a second voice echoed from behind the soldiers. Hold your weapons. A woman in black armor stepped forward, an inspection officer from the Galactic Council. She held up a datapad. This station is now under council review. The signal was received. The guards froze, shocked. Take them both into custody. The officer added, for protection, not punishment. Jack looked at Lyra. She was crying. but for the first time, they were tears of hope. Asterisk. Escape or die. The room was tense. Jack stood between Lyra and the armed guards. The council officer held up her badge, her voice cold and firm. This girl is no longer your prisoner. She's a living witness under council protection. The station commander stepped in, face red with fury. You don't understand what she is. She's a danger. The officer didn't blink. What I understand is that Earth destroyed her world. And then you covered it up. The guards lowered their weapons slowly. Jack let out a shaky breath. Eyes locked on Lyra. It felt like the nightmare was finally ending. But dreams die fast in deep space. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The floor rumbled. From the hallway, someone shouted, "Unauthorized launch command override in progress." Jack turned to the window. Out in the black, a large ship had appeared. Not Earth's, not Council's. A black warship. No lights, no signal, no markings. Only one purpose. Silence. Assassins, the officer whispered. They're not here to take her back. They're here to erase all of us. Chaos broke out. Alarms wailed. The escape pod systems shut down. The ship above began jamming signals. The council team started yelling into comms. Lyra grabbed Jack's arm. We have to go. Now. But the pod, Jack started. No, she said, eyes glowing. I have another way. They ran through the emergency tunnel. Lyra guiding Jack now. She moved with a strange sense of purpose, like she had seen this before. I've studied this station every night, she said. I found something weeks ago, an old transport bay hidden in the service maps. They turned a sharp corner, ducked under low pipes, and reached a sealed door. Jack stared. This hasn't been used in years. Lyra smiled slightly. I know. She placed her hand on the access panel. The door hissed open. Inside was an old shuttle, rusted, power flickering, but intact. As Jack powered up the controls, Lyra sat quietly, eyes closed. He looked over. You okay? She didn't answer. She was glowing. A soft white light covered her skin. Energy shimmered from her fingers into the shuttle systems. Jack stared in awe as lights came alive, panels lit up, and the engines began to hum. You're powering it, he whispered. She opened her eyes. I can only do it once. It will burn me if I go too far. But we need to leave. Now, outside, the black warship began charging weapons. The station shields flickered barely, holding. Council officers tried launching fighters, but the hangar had been locked down remotely. Jack looked at the countdown. 10 seconds until launch, he said. Where do we go? She asked. Jack paused. Anywhere that still believes the truth matters. The engines roared. The shuttle shot out of the launch tube like a bullet. The black ship reacted, instantly firing pulses of red energy. Jack jerked the controls, dodging each beam. The ship shook violently. Lyra gripped the console, face tight with pain. Don't burn yourself out, Jack yelled. I'll stop if we survive. She shouted back. The stars spun. Debris flew past. A direct hit struck their rear engine. Smoke filled the cockpit. Sparks danced across the screen. Brace! Jack shouted. The shuttle dove straight into a dense asteroid field, huge spinning rocks, ice clouds, and shadows. No ship would follow them there. Except this one had no choice. It was either escape or die. As they weaved through the chaos, something incredible happened. A new voice came through the comms. Unidentified shuttle. This is the Arkhaven, neutral colony vessel. We received your broadcast. Repeat, we received the truth. Jack's eyes widened. You got the signal? Yes, the voice said. And we believe her? Behind them, the black warship finally lost tracking. Inside the asteroid field, The assassin ship hesitated. And in that pause, Jack and Lyra vanished into the mist. On board the Archaven, they landed broken. But alive, Lyra collapsed from exhaustion. Jack carried her in his arms. As medics rushed over, the council officer who escaped with them stepped forward. "You risked everything," she said to Jack. He shook his head. "No, she risked everything." As they wheeled Lyra away, her voice barely rose above a whisper. "Did we make it?" Jack held her hand gently. "We're not safe yet," he said. "But now, the galaxy is listening." Asterisk, the message for the stars. Lyra lay in the Ark. Haven's medbay, her body wrapped in healing cloth, wires softly glowing beside her. Machines hummed quietly. Her skin had lost its glow, and her breathing was slow but steady. Jack sat beside her, his hands still covered in soot from the escape. He hadn't left her side in hours. The med officer approached. "She's stable now. Whatever energy she gave to that shuttle almost killed her," Jack nodded. "But it didn't. She's stronger than anyone knows." In the main deck of the Archaven, dozens of species watched the broadcast replay. The memory crystal had been uploaded fully. It was now playing on colony networks, council archives, even smuggler channels. No one could stop it anymore. A peaceful world, destroyed. In silence, a girl chained for being the last survivor, human who saw her not as a threat, but as someone worth saving. And now, the whole galaxy knew. News came quickly. Some Earth officials denied it, all. Others were silent. But across independent systems, something was changing. Lyra's face was becoming a symbol. Not of war, not of revenge, but of truth. Jack stepped out of the medbay and walked into the Archaven's main hall. The council officer met him with a datapad in hand. "We've received over 30 messages," she said, "all from fringe colonies. Some are scared, some want to help, some want to protect her." "She doesn't need protection anymore," Jack said, voice calm. "She just needs a place to live." The officer smiled faintly. "You know that's not going to be easy." "I know," Jack replied. "But it's time someone tried." 2 days later, Lyra opened her eyes. Jack was right there. She looked at him, weak but smiling. "You stayed." "Always," he said. Lyra tried to sit up. Jack gently helped her. "Did they hear the message?" she asked. "Yes," Jack nodded. "They did. Everyone did." She looked toward the window, where the stars drifted in silence. "My people used to believe that the stars had voices," she whispered, "that they carried stories between worlds." Jack followed her gaze. "Then this one's for them." Later that night, Lyra stood still, weak, but walking, and recorded a final message. To the worlds that had forgotten her people. To the governments that tried to hide the truth. To every species, every outpost, every wandering ship. Her voice was clear, gentle, but powerful. "I am not a weapon. I am not a threat. I am proof that silence can be broken, that kindness matters, and that even in chains, hope survives." The message spread faster than anyone expected. Lyra's words reached moons, ships, and even military ranks. Some cheered, some cried, some grew afraid, because they knew their lies were cracking. But no one could stop it, because the galaxy had heard the voice of the last survivor. And the human who believed in her. Back on Archaven, as Jack watched the final message replay, someone beside him whispered, "So, what now?" Jack smiled faintly. "Now?" he said. "Now we build something better,